If you feel like cats are everywhere in this election, you might not be alone. What began with J.D. Vance, the Ohio Republican senator, and his reference to childless cat ladies has now taken a somewhat fascinating turn to former President Trump's claim that migrants, undocumented immigrants, in Springfield, Ohio, are eating pets. The team at CBS News confirmed has found absolutely no truth in this assertion. Nevertheless, this is what we heard at last night's debate.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine joins us now from Columbus. Governor, good to see you. You and I have known each other a long time. You may not remember it, but I do. I covered your first campaign for the United States Senate back in 1992. And Governor, I never thought, yes, it's a while ago, I never thought I would ask you a question like this. Is anyone with undocumented status in Ohio, is any legal citizen resident of Ohio eating dogs or cats illegally?
Well, Major, this is something that came up on the internet, and the internet can be quite crazy sometimes. And look, the mayor, Mayor Rue of Springfield, says no, there's no truth in that. They have no evidence of that at all. So I think we go with what the mayor says. He knows his city.
And there is a case in Dayton of a woman with mental health issues being alleged to have eaten a neighbor's cat, but she lived in Ohio, not an immigrant. And my reason of bringing this up, not only because the former president did it, but you have an immigration situation in Springfield. It's a serious one. It's an interesting one. Population about 58,000, about 15 to 20,000 Haitians under temporary protected status in Springfield. A good number of them, as I understand, Governor, have gone through the application process to get temporary work permits, are working, and in some cases relieving kind of a labor shortage there. But there have been other issues, health, some safety issues that you've tried to bring attention to. Would you not prefer, Governor, a more coherent conversation about immigration in Springfield, Ohio than was heard last night on the debate stage?
Well, Major, I think there's a couple things to be said about what's been going on in Springfield. And you pointed out the numbers. You know, when you put 15,000 people on top in a period of a couple years on top of a population of 58,000, that's not just the normal, you know, increase that we expect to see in regard to immigration. This is a massive number of people coming in. And I think it raises a couple questions. For us in Ohio, we're seeing a couple major challenges to go with this. And you're right, these Haitians came in here to work because there were jobs, and they have filled a lot of jobs. And if you talk to the employers, they've done a very, very good job, and they work very, very hard. But it raises a couple questions. One is a health issue. As you know, Haiti is not a country that has very good health care. And since the assassination of the president several years ago, the doctors who were there, many of them, most of them have already left. So you've got people coming in from a country that don't really have good health care. And so it raises issues about getting them vaccinated, getting their children vaccinated. So it's put a real pressure on primary care. And so what we announced yesterday was, you know, we're going to try to take some federal dollars if they're eligible. If they're not, we're going to have to spend it ourselves and put about $2.5 million in, you know, to assist the local community to expand that primary health care. The other problem is driving. Again, Haiti is not a country that many people don't drive at all. There aren't that many cars per capita. And people who do drive, you know, the laws in Haiti are very, very different than they are in the United States. My wife, Fran, I've been in Haiti a number of times, and driving is just very, very different. So the challenge is to get training, driver's training for these individuals so that when they do go on the road, you know, they will be safe. We have a law in Ohio that says that once you turn 18, or if you're over 18, you can get a driver's license in the state. With you have to pass a test, but you don't have to have any driver's training, which is kind of a big loophole in our law, and it's a real problem.
Do you worry at all, Governor, that immigrant community could be under greater jeopardy because of scapegoating language like the nation heard last night?
I think as I talk to the people in Springfield, they're concerned about the issues that I just talked about. But they will tell me these Haitians are working very hard. You know, they're trying to provide for their families. But what the people of Springfield are saying is it's just been so many people come in. It's not what we normally would expect. And frankly, Major, I think the federal government has to start looking at places like this and treat it like you would a natural disaster. If we have a natural disaster in Ohio, we call the federal government, they come in and they do an assessment. And if they think that we don't have the resources in the community or the state to take care of that, then there is help provided. I think we need something like that in regard to when we have real big surges like we've seen in Springfield of immigrants coming in over a relatively short period of time.
Broadly
That's really
speaking,
what we should have. We should have that kind of help from the federal government.
Broadly speaking, Governor, who won last night's debate?
Well, I'm not going to get into that. You know, everybody has their own opinion as they watched it. I think that, you know, look, I think the President Trump, if you look at the issues, the majority of people are going to agree with President Trump on issues more they are with Vice President Harris. And I think the more he can stick to those issues and talk about his vision for this country, whether it's in the economy, whether it's protecting the border, whether it's national defense, I think the better off that he is going to be as he goes forward. We're obviously in a very close race. Ohio's not close. President Trump is going to win Ohio by a pretty good margin. And what we hope, of course, those of us who are Republican rooting for Bernie Moreno to win that race as well for the United States Senate.
And it's a little hard to find, you mentioned the internet a moment, Governor, where you are exactly on former President Trump. Are you a full-throated endorsee of former President Trump's re-election to the White House?
I've always said, look, I said months and months ago before it was even determined who the nominee would be, I said, look, I'm a Republican. I support the Republican nominee for president, so I certainly support President Trump.